Good morning, karibu sana. This is the Morning Café, Friday ya mwisho wa mwezi, hakuna nyingine kama hii. 30th of August 2024 it is. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. This is Morning Café, hotter than your coffee.
I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyerungite. You're bound to have a feel-good Friday. First off, the youth perspective, because a lot is happening in the country. The president was yesterday in Home Bay and in a town hall kind of a session, and he was talking to the residents there. Yes. But young people were bold enough to tell him, hapa kidogo hapa.
But we must mention he was accompanied by his deputy, yes, Rigathi Gachagua. They are sending stories separately. Azikuji pamoja. Ile status wakituma story haonyeshi Gachagua, wanaonyesha tu president.
Oh yeah.
Wasewa deputy president's office wakituma wanatuma tu ya deputy president haonyeshi the president.
And there's one of the cartoons that has that as well.
All right, we'll be having this three gentlemen in studio this morning for an analysis of what's happening, the political happenings. Josephat Kamanya, Camo Mbio, and Hans Ropp, our political analysts, will be in studio for that conversation later on.
Oh yes, and because it's a Feel Good Friday, matters entertainment and creativity, something that I love as well. Film production, and you'll definitely love this conversation. Joyce Musonke, as well as Martin Kigondo, the actors, and they'll be telling us all about this film called Sanctuary. On the ones and twos, the threes and fours, DJ Granite will be making sure that Fred Akuimeanza vizuri, right, the turntablist there. Watu
mnajua ni aje?
Ngeli ni ya genge.
Kitu naambia leo mnajibu tu kiasi.
Yes.
Genge mwenye Jua Kali will be in studio.
The man, the myth, the legend, Jua Kali himself. To the dailies now, will Ruto Raila Pact yield new super alliance? Quite a very lengthy headline for Friday, but...
And you know what? There's two names that you'll realize are in all the dailies this morning. It's just Ruto Raila, Ruto Raila. You think I'm lying? Okay, fine. The Daily Nation, silent war in Ruto's Nyanza tour. That's the Daily Nation.
Okay, ya Rigathi imeonekana mahali hapa.
Yeah, kuna picha ya watu wa Murima hapa tu ni Ruto na Raila iko hapa, you see?
Oh yeah.
So Ruto Raila.
In bold. We're looking for those in bold.
Yes. Risasi ya mwisho na picha ya Raila pale, masuala ya AU ni habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. Je, ataweza kutwaa kiti hichi cha mwenyekiti wa AU?
Angalau picha ya Rigathi imepata nafasi.
Ruto na Gachagua wangangania Raila. Now that's the other thing.
You need twist ingine hapo.
You never imagine that this could ever be on the front pages. Ruto na Gachagua wangangania Raila.
The two people who would be like, wait, tusikuone hapa.
But it is what is they're talking about here. Silent war in Ruto's Nyanza tour.
Yeah.
This is exactly what they're talking about. The fact that the president and his deputy are there, but it's like muscle. Kazi tu ni makumbo tu hivi songa.
And that speaks largely for the rest to 2027 because why exactly and how instrumental is Raila when it comes to 2027?
All right. Matters business banks defy hard times to report huge profits. We'll be back to look at that later. Again, Ruto Raila. Ruto's scheme to seize Raila power base. And this picture with a big...
the Nile patch.
Samaki mkubwa pale. It is the same picture used on the front page of the Star.
Yes. Unasema samaki mkunja angali?
Angali mchanga.
Yes. This, I feel like this is quite metaphorical. If you look at it like that.
Yeah, you've come back with some inspiration.
I know.
But then again, Ruto Raila deal will redefine 2027 race. It's again Ruto Raila.
Yes.
That's a big talking point. Hakuna kitu ingine. Now, this is what happens in Kenya. If you cross the border into Uganda, you never see Museveni on the front pages. But in Kenya, we are obsessed with Ruto and Raila.
Yeah.
For the past 10 years, I don't think we've... Okay, maybe when Uhuru was here. But after that, it's just Ruto Raila. That's the local dailies. In Uganda, hata wameongea mambo ingine. 4-acre puzzle.
Yes.
They're talking about Museveni, but in a rejoinder to Speaker Anita Among's assertion that the 4-acre model is not suitable for northern Uganda, they have this model where they're encouraging farmers not to go below 4 acres of land in certain region. So Museveni accused the Speaker of deviating from a government poverty alleviation project, saying it could sow confusion. But you see, they're not talking about 74-acre something. It's 4-acre parcel. This is still the neatest front page.
I'm telling you. And I love the fact that they're still talking about matters HIV. I think this is the second time in a row this week.
Yes.
Was it yesterday or the day before? They talk about HIV as well. How to protect yourself from HIV. It's always one of the biggest conversations in that country.
And you just like the fact that they have very serious conversations on the front page. Not just Museveni, Besije, the other one. Don't punish North for past mistakes. Museveni says ex-leaders made bad decisions. But yes, they use his photo on the front page, but you'll never see his name. Maybe because it's too long. Ukiandika Museveni inajaza hapa.
Walike to M7.
Anyway, wangeandika tu rais. That's a new vision still in Uganda.
In Tanzania, kwenye gazeti la Mwananchi wasema sheria PSSSF, WCF na SSF zafumiliwa. Sema mswada wapitishwa bungeni ukiwa na marekebisho kadhaa kuhusu fidia, mafao na pensheni kwa wastaafu wategemezi wao. Sasa mwajiriwa kulipwa mafao bila kujali mwajiri amekamilisha michango yake.
Yeah, matters to do with social security,
yes.
Being given prominence on the front page here. Matters politics, I know it is a political season in Tanzania, but hey, you would think the elections in Kenya. In Tanzania, they actually do have elections in November. But look at the front page, a very busy one. They did not find space for any politics on the front page today. That's a Mwananchi. Interesting. Ukipata moja niambie. Yes. How law review will boost social security operations. The same discussion on the front page of the Citizen. Matters this. Kenya is there. Tanzania firms set to wrap up Kenya cement deal. Matters business. Matters progress. Matters social security. You know, no politics.
No politics. And then they also revive this conversation. Okay, they make mention of Kenya here first of. The Tanzanian firm set to wrap up Kenya cement deal is a conversation that has been going on. I believe the Bamburi cement. But then they revive this conversation. The gang rape case continues after court verdict. Did it happen? Was it last week? But one thereabout. But it has been a conversation that has also even linked the police to this kind of a case.
All right. Yes, now these are the stories that have found prominence on the front pages this morning in the region. In Kenya, it's all about Ruto and Raila and what will happen to them, whether or not they'll get to 2027, will they win AU, what will happen to Nyanza. Elsewhere, they're talking about serious issues. Yes.
Lakini usiguze Mrima.
Usiguze Mrima.
Usiguze Mrima.
Shauri yako, ukiguza shauri yako. Let's come back home and take a look at the traffic situation.
Speaking of kuguza Mrima, tuangalie...
Typical Friday traffic. Jogoo Road is looking... okay, what have I done now? Yes. Nothing to report. Jogoo Road is looking clean. Makadara, Mbotela area, all the way to City Stadium roundabout, nothing much. Very little traffic for Friday, actually. The only busy area, even this area here around town, Haile Selassie Avenue, this stretch between this roundabout here that goes towards St. Peter's Clavers and the one that heads towards Landis Road. It's usually busy, but today, kwani ya mununu ya mwendi sokoni hapa hivi, no one is traveling on a Friday. Usually, for this whole week, I think it was back to school, it has been red both sides, leaving and getting into town around this area. Now you can see the only issue is around that huge Landis roundabout. Pali kuna ile, I think the biggest public toilet in Nairobi. and a market there. Hapo ndio kuna traffic too. Elsewhere, Thika Road, Pangani interchange building up slowly. You can see a patch of yellow there, meaning that, yes, at least there, this is more or less normal traffic for this time. Other areas of the city looking good. Green all the way on Mombasa Road, all the way into town. Langata Road also looking good. Past Carnival all the way down to T-Mall and further down to Nyayo Stadium. Ngong Road 2 looking good, nothing to report there. And even on Wayaki Way, the usual black spot here, not really a black spot, the usual trouble spot around Nairobi School. It slows down there because of the bumps, but after that, it's smooth all the way into town. Typical Friday traffic in Nairobi today.
Right. Let's take a look at the weather update. So even as you prepare to leave the house right now, let's take a look at what you need to know when it comes to how you're going to be dressed. We start off with Lamu, the coast region really. 24 degrees right now. That's quite some high kind of temperatures, and it promises to even get as hotter than that and warmer than that. Leo, if you're in Lamu, it will be as high as 28. But because we are not going to be with you on Saturday and Sunday, this is how the weather is going to be looking like for over the weekend. Some light. This is actually some. Yeah, this is some light showers.
Very sunny.
Now over the weekend. Over the weekend, yes.
This is nice holiday weather.
Light showers lakini ni highs of 28. In Nakuru, imekata kijiti yako. Yes. Hapa ni kwa kina Fred huko. 13 degrees Celsius right now. It promises to get hotter than that.
Now, that's extreme. From 13 to 24, that's a huge change. Ndio ile weather inakupatia homa. Asubuhi ni baridi.
Alafu
fika jioni ni moto kabisa.
Yes. There are no chances of light showers over the weekend, so unaweza kuwa na kasherehe kako vizuri. If you're in Nakuru, in Siaya, President William Ruto is going to be in Siaya. I'll be telling you all about that in a few. It's going to be raining today, some above average rainfall into the midday. So if you're there, if you're planning to go there, be mindful about that. There's some light showers right now. Over the weekend, nothing much really. Some warm temperatures. And finally, County 047. 16 degrees Celsius, but it feels like kitu 14 uko 13. Sahi nako kabaridi kenyikako. No rainfall today in Nairobi. You can be sun-kissed as possible as you can. Some highs of 24. Over the weekend, no light showers. Piga sherehe yako vilivyo. Speaking of what to expect on our news diary, first off, what I'd alluded to earlier, President William Ruto's diary for today. So today, on his third day of the Nyanza tour, President William Ruto will be in Siaya County, where he will be commissioning the Mageta Island solar PV mini grid and also launch the Siaya ESP market and the Siaya rice mill. He will also close his tour in Siaya by attending a Thanksgiving service for newly appointed Cabinet Secretary of Energy, that is Pio Wandai. So we'll be telling you all about that and those events that will be there. Remember, this particular, his tour to Nyanza concludes tomorrow on Saturday. Today also, something that the United Nations also marks is the International Day of the Disappeared, which is observed annually and highlights the growing number of people who are missing because of conflict and as a result of mass migration driven by climate change. There might be, there are going to be some activities around the country on the same, just to remember those who have disappeared, and particularly the recent activities during the anti-government protests, those who were abducted, those who were killed. This is a day to remember them. Something positive for the teachers. According to the Cabinet Secretary of Education, that is Julius Migambo, public school teachers will be receiving their July and August salary increments by today. Remember, these payments were made in accordance to the implementation of the 2021-2025 collective bargaining agreement, following the release of about 13.5 billion cash shillings by the National Treasury last week. That is in a nutshell of what to expect in our news diary. Quite a lot will be happening in our subsequent bulletins as well as the digital platforms. So you can do this, scan Pilot Chini, and follow our digital platforms. Right now though, Today in History.
Today in History. On the 30th of August 2022, the pre-trial conference of Kenya's presidential election petition began at the Supreme Court. The 7-judge bench, led by Chief Justice Martha Koome, framed 9 issues that were used to determine the outcome of the election that pitted, among others, William Ruto and Raila Odinga.
All right, time now for us to take a look at the dailies this morning. All right, let's start off with the Standard this morning, and magazeti umeweka upande gani? Aha. We start off with the Standard. Ukitafuta hapo acha niendelee na hii hapa because naona hapa tutachanganyikiwa. Will Ruto Raila pact yield a new super alliance? That's the front page of the Standard this morning. They call it a political marriage. The president's tour of Raila Odinga's backyard has birthed talk of a political coalition among their allies as calls for a strong political union dominated speeches, and the head of state declaring that the current pact would yield more fruit in the future. But will the newfound camaraderie concretize. That story is on page 2. Ameshikilia samaki pale, samaki mkubwa kweli kweli. Na ulisema samaki afanywe nini?
Mkunje angali mbichi.
Wananiambia this is what they call mboda.
Yeah.
Yes. Ati mkunje akiwa angali mbichi.
Yes.
Unaona jamaa amevaa suti safi sana, kaunda suit, alafu mnampatia samaki hapo iko na damu hivi. Yeah, the things you make politicians and our president.
Lakini si status iko na pesa ile pesa nyingi ya laundry. So
the other story given prominence on the front page of the Standard this morning. Power to prison. How Lenol Kulal was nailed. Court sentences former Samburu governor to 8 years in prison or pay a fine of 85 million shillings. He is also disqualified from public office for the next 10 years. And many people are saying this is just a slap on the wrist. Because people were expecting at least the first governor to be sent to prison for real.
Real, yeah.
Now he's been told you can pay 85 million, Bob.
For someone who's been in the office,
okay, maybe the biggest punishment there could be the fact that he's barred from public office for the next 10 years. That could be a game changer. Homecomings, who finances these parties and what for? Now the president is in Nyanza. He's attending quite a number of these homecoming parties for the newly appointed cabinet secretaries from that region. Who actually finances this? Are they financed by the state? They're also serializing Manu Chandaria's book, Success to Significance. Deals shocker for Kupet over teachers strike is also a big discussion there. Wamefanyiwa ile kitu na TSC. TSC wameongeza pesa ya walimu lakini unajua kuna ile wana deduct ya union. Wamesema to deduct tena. And of course the Pulse, I can see what you like there. Holders Real face Liverpool. Champions League. Maswala ya Champions League kweli. If you are a fan of the Champions League, get to take a look at the back page of the Star. A lot of the teams that have qualified and who will be going against who when is there on the back page.
That whole draw happened yesterday.
That is a Standard this morning.
On the Daily Nation, also have it here. It's quite a heavy paper today. They say silent war in Ruto's Nyanza tour. They're calling it a rivalry. President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua have had some tense relations recently, and while the visit to the stronghold of their arch-rival turned ally Raila Odinga has presented them with a stage to demonstrate their camaraderie, surprise developments have exposed the mumbling tensions beneath. It is on pages 4 and 5. Now this one actually has a photo of president as well as the deputy president, among other. Now Homa Bay governor was playing host, as well as other governors and other leaders there. Other conversations on this paper. Pale chini, Lenol Kulal gets slap on the wrist, what you're talking about. Doesn't fit on what Kenyans were anticipating. Matters education, behind the scenes bid to end teacher strike. In matters labor, Ruto's night talks to stop aviation employees strike. A meeting between workers' union and the president. A State House failed to agree on averting a strike. So probably this might just be going on. And then King Choge, they're calling it a dilemma, either to retire or still hang on. It is on pages 2 and 3. We flip to the back page and see the conversations there. First off, that beat on matters education, behind the scenes efforts to end strike by teachers. They say Maisha number roll out, but only for those willing. So apparently in context, the back page, the government has stuck to its plans to rolling out digital ID cards known as Maisha number, but clarify that Kenyans who are reluctant to apply will not be coerced to do so. Eskale governor kwambia, si must by the way. Kama unadai, endea tu. That is a Daily Nation for you. On to Taifa Leo.
Alright, kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo, masuala ya AU ni risasi ya mwisho wanasema pale. Wadadisi wasema Raila asiposhinda wadhifa wa AUC hata kuwa tena na nafasi ya kutoa mamlaka nchini au nje. Risasi yake ya mwisho. Lakini wamesema risasi za Raila zimekwisha mara mingi sana. Huyu jamaa kuna risasi tu anatoa tu one, nyingine inatoka. akichoka anatumia mawe alafu risasi anabakisha.
The biblical ile David and Goliath.
Sasa inaweza kuwa ni jiwe. Sema kufa kupona, Odinga hana nafasi ya kupoteza kiti cha AUC kwani ukanda wa Afrika Mashariki hautaruhusiwa kuwania tena hadi miongo mitatu ipite. Wow. 3 decades later. Aidha, katika uchaguzi mkuu ujao nchini, kinara huyo wa ODM atakuwa ametimu umri mkongwe wa miaka 82. Habari yenyewe kwenye ukurasa wa pili, lakini ni kumfuta kazi. Mnasema tu story yake imedai. Kuna habari nyingine hapa kidokezo hapa chini ambacho kinashangaza wengi. Ruto na Gachagua wang'ang'ania Raila. Wanasema kwenye ziara yao katika eneo la Luo Nyanza, kila mmoja alionekana kuwa na nia ya kurithi ngome ya Raila. Habari yenyewe kwenye ukurasa wa 3 pale juu. Atozwa faini ya shilingi milioni 84 au asote jela miaka 10. Gavana wa zamani wa Samburu apatikana na hatia ya ufisadi. Maswali ya walimu na TSC yaanza kuadhibu KUPPET. Tume ya kosa kukata katika mshahara ada ya wanachama wa walimu. And that's the same thing they did to KNUT. They stopped deducting the union dues and that was the end of that. Okay, it's still there. Let me not say it's the end, but that was the beginning of the end.
Beginning of the end.
Yes. Matters business.
Matters business. They say banks defy hard times to report huge profits. Talk about earnings by top 10 listed banks rise by 25.2 billion cash shillings in a nutshell. Talk about how the banks have emerged as the big winners in a difficult economy characterized by high interest rates as companies in other sectors struggle to generate profits and give returns to the shareholders in form of dividends. So basically, banks are doing good out here. Other conversations, Safaricom awaits license as fund assets hit 2.3 billion cash shillings. Safaricom has been on the news this entire week really, on matters Starlink. Other conversations, matters economy, state rental income up 176% amid higher rates plan. The rental income generated from government-owned houses jumped nearly twofold in the year ended June 2024, signaling improved collections, right? And matters companies, consultants call for bulk petrol price cap. And that in a nutshell is conversations around Business Daily. From Business Daily, from BD to PD.
Ruto scheme to seize Raila power base, yes, wanang'ang'ania, wengine wanasema wanang'ang'ania. Now, after appointing ODM top cogs into cabinet, a president raids Azimio leaders' backyard with an eye on re-election come 2027. That story is on page 4. And yes, it would appear this is the analysis by most dailies today, that yes, Ruto is keen on that, but also someone else is keen on the same. And that's the deputy president too.
Yeah.
And this very interesting picture of the president admiring a giant mbota fish that he was given by residents of Homa Bay.
I'm curious how much it weighs.
Na unajua, as president you can't afford to drop it. So kama hujakula siku hiyo alafu akupatie mbuta yote alafu ianguke. Do you know what that means? Umeangusha mbuta umepewa. Yo acha. So lazima kuwe gangari.
I'm telling you.
Another story given prominence on this page, inside plot to split Kenya Railways. And picha ya gari moshi pale. Gari moshi moja it has seen better days. Slap on the wrist for governor who stole millions. Now this, yes, I think this is the one that is telling the truth. That punishment was less than desirable.
How Daily Nation and this Paper Daily have reported it as a slap on the wrist.
There's a slap in the wrist. People expected at least something tougher than this. But yes, that is what is given. He pays 85 million shillings as a fine, or else he goes to jail for at least 8 years. Hope for learners as KUPPET calls ceasefire on strike. Wakinyongewa ile kitu, lazima tu muta-call ceasefire. Hii game ishachezwa. That's the People Daily this morning, and take a look at the Star.
The Star, privileged to have...
you do have a physical copy.
The physical copy. And they say Ruto Raila deal will redefine 2027 race. And the same photo of President William Ruto holding the mbuta there. They say leaders praise Ruto for appointing a first Treasury CS and Attorney General from the Luo community. It's interesting though, yesterday during that town hall meeting, the young people there were telling the president that tuna feel ni kama bado tuna watu wengi kwa serikali. Tafadhali tuongezee. And the minutes that I listened in, a number of people, the young people there, were asking him some political questions. They were asking, sasa juu hii camaraderie yako na Raila, what does it mean for 2027? Hebu tueleze.
You should see the cartoon on the Standard today. We'll come to that. It's very interesting. But yes, the picture of the president with Ambuta there.
Yeah.
Another story we've not seen in any other paper. Ex-Governor Ngilu summoned over funds used at Kitui Textile Farm. As a former Kitui governor. Now amerudililiwa, anaulizwa maswali. Kwingineko, Lives Mombasa billionaire Hasmukh Patel touched. Yes, this tycoon passed on after a long battle with cancer. And there's so many people who have very positive things to say about him and his life. He was one of the biggest philanthropists that Kenya has ever seen. That's the Star this morning.
Oh, yes. For only 60 Kenyan shillings, get yourself this copy. It's quite a heavy paper. There are lots.
And being a Friday, it has a siasa pullout.
Yes.
If you look at the siasa pullout today on the Star, they talk about Babu Owino. Remember after Mzee Kaguta Museveni, Yoweri, which Yoweri, someone was saying it's actually Joel.
Oh,
so it's
I've never
Joel.
thought of it like that.
So Joel Museveni.
Yeah.
So Yoweri Museveni. All right, let's take a look at the cartoons this morning. And we start off with the People Daily. Tano stick. Hizi ndo zile maswali unasema, lakini hii ni watu wanauliza Raila. So question is, will Baba accept the results or will he call for maandamano?
Hapa Stano
hapo umekaa sana. Hiyo story mimi siko na wewe.
Alafu kuna Raila hapo ameshangaa.
Hiyo ni swali gani? Hapo hatuko na wewe. This is what I was talking about.
Yes, this is the
cartoon on the now this ameleta and amesema hapa ameenda ku relaunch.
Yeah.
So it's basically relaunching projects and that has actually weighed more huko. Alafu jamaa anasema ndani ya serikali. Sasa maandamano wapeleke huko kwa jensi ya Nairobi. Sisi hakuna maandamano.
Tutaki maandamano. Omera yawa.
That's the standard, the cartoon on the Standard this morning.
Yes, on the Star, we have, now if you're familiar with the whole sports, it matters the cycling in France. It's always a Tour de France. Now they have Tour de Nyanza, and they have this cyclist, President William Ruto there, and the helmet, I believe that's the helmet.
Yeah, that's the helmet.
The helmet, and it has the face of Raila Odinga as well. Both of them are smiling as they cruise into Nyanza.
All right.
Yes, and a huge crowd there cheering them on.
And people never, I think that was a shocker. Not even just the kind of applause that the president received, but the kind of reception given to his deputy. Rigathi Gachagua, many people expected, that it was going to be a cold reception.
Cheers here.
Tu alipiga kelele mpaka hata PSU hawatumi hiyo sasa. I tell you, in politics is very interesting. Now,
on Daily Nation, ndio hii sasa ile other conversations, ile the push and pull.
Now it's even Raila pushing the wheelbarrow.
And inside is President William Ruto, as Musalia Mudavadi also pushes it. And ameachwa kwa junction. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua.
Kama ameachwa kwa junction kweli. Mimi mbona ni kama take the same route. He's also in Nyanza. And many people thought that, hii sasa utaenda kupiga Rigathi huko sana vita. Wapi? It appears he can hold his own.
Yes. But amesimama hapo kwanza, ni kama akiangalia.
Yes. If he would have stayed away, then that would have been the perfect platform to hit at him. This guy anajua maswali ya siasa.
Alisema haya, ongea nikiwa hapo sasa.
Interesting.
Those are the cartoons for you this morning on different pages of this dailies, and they really form, I believe, the basis of your conversation on State of the Nation.
Oh yes, State of the Nation. This day we'll be having three gentlemen, Hans Rop, Kamau Ambio, and Josephat Kamanya in studio. These are political analysts to take a look at this. Raila, Ruto everywhere, and a lot more, including the fight against corruption. Do you feel that what the former governor of Samburu received as sentencing was really what you had expected after his conviction? Yes. That and a lot more coming up after the break. But remember, you can be part of this conversation through our social media pages on X at TV47 News and on Facebook, TV47 Kenya.
Oh yes, coming up at around 8 a.m. all the way to 10 a.m., making sure that your weekend starts in a whole kind of a simple and a nice kind of a way. Feel Good Friday, hashtag Morning Cafe, @Friday Ndimuli.
Yes, na ukumbuke, for fans of Jua Kali,
yes.
Msee wa genge atakuwa hapa.
Leo at least tutabanjuka kidogo.
Ngelinia
Genge.
Yeah, that later on the show. You're watching Morning Cafe.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
All right, it is a Feel Good Friday right here on Morning Cafe at TV47. My name is Fred Ndimuli, but for now, let's take a look at the state of the nation. A big discussion around Ruto and Raila on all the dailies this morning. If you look at all our dailies, gentlemen, you'll see it's just Ruto, Raila, Ruto, Raila, Ruto, Raila, 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 Ruto. I think it's only Business Daily that doesn't have the two names. It's because they're talking about banks and hard times ahead. I'm sure they may have found an angle of how to link the two men to the to the state of the nation. Anyway, allow me to introduce my panelists this morning. On my immediate right, Kamau Wambio, Chairperson, Kiambu Youth Caucus. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Hans Rop, political analyst, also joins us this morning. Karibu sana, Hans. And Josephat Kamanya, political analyst, is also with us. Karibuni sana, gentlemen. What we do here at Morning Cafe every morning is that we look at papers across the region, East Africa. So we do the Kenyan dailies, and we take a look at what's headlining in Uganda and Tanzania, and we get to sample at least two papers from these two countries, each of these two countries. And you see the kind of headlines they have on the front pages. They talk about matters, social security, health, infrastructure, matters progress. But when you come back to Kenya, it is Ruto Raila, Ruto Raila, Ruto Raila all the way. You would think that we have an election this year, yet it is Tanzania that has, I think, the earliest election, then followed by Uganda. So this obsession, 2 years after elections, is back.
Yes.
All the dailies, Ruto Raila. What do you make of that, Kamau?
To me, is Ruto, after what happened, after the unprecedented Gen Z saga of what happened in the country like 2 months ago, this guy, he never saw what was coming. And now he had to, he's a political master. He had to launch Raila. In the midst of other projects, this was his other project. And now, it was so timely that Raila is bidding for an AU seat. Now, immediately after launching a campaign, what are you supposed to do? To go to the areas you're supposed to be campaigning for. Now, immediately after launching Raila from State House, this guy went straight to Nyanza. Instead of going to West Africa, Morocco, these are the regions, this guy went to tell these people. I even heard him say, so, mimi na Gombo tumetoka mbali. So tumeona, the funny whatever he speaks. So this guy is back on top of vehicles, on rooftops, launching fake projects that are not there, and promising of things that he should be doing. I mean, you're the president.
Yet he's still receiving a lot of applause while doing this, meaning that probably that is what Kenyans need. These papers are simply
mobilization.
These papers are simply responding to what Kenyans want. And many people wonder, fine, you've mentioned the fact that the Gen Z protests changed a lot, but they also introduced some very serious conversations that as a country, we should be focusing on. Matters economy, matters infrastructure, health, education, things that really bedevil this country. But we're not seeing that on the front pages. There is a teacher strike currently. It is not on the front pages as the big headline. It is Ruto Raila on all the dailies.
Exactly what we were trying to bring to effect. False promises, lies. Now this guy is back to the promises. Instead of addressing the real issues, he is even there saying, I'll do. But he's not talking about the JSS employment of the JSS teachers. He's not talking about the education university funding model. He's not talking about the stalled projects that have already been exposed. He is saying about what will happen. He is saying about what he has done. He is saying me. You see, it does not make any absolute sense.
But Hans, it is Kenyans who are applauding when these people deviate from the main issues we discuss and just focus on the politics of the day. If you look at the dailies, yes, mention of Ruto and Raila about 2027 race, about who's going to inherit the Nyanza backyard or the voting bloc. Yet there's so many issues that should be on our front pages, as you have highlighted, Kamau. Issues to do with university funding model, education, teacher strike, so many other things, the economy. How come these are the most interesting things to Kenya, Ruto, Raila, and the politics, not the other discussions that we should be having? If you look at Uganda, they're talking about HIV, yet they have an election next year.
Fred, one thing I'll say is democracy that is in Kenya today allows anybody to speak anything. And there'll always be something maybe to critique about somebody, and probably more in government. There is a blackmail in Kenya to imagine that every development is being run politically, and therefore any person will want to solve everything politically. That's why if you find any problem that could arise in the village, even if there is maybe a child in need, maybe there's a child who have done so well in primary schools and is go to high school or university, when anybody thinks of that baby being assisted, they think of a politician. They never imagine that there is a CEO somewhere, there is a super business person somewhere who can be of an help to a community and help someone else. We've tend to politicize everything thing that needs to be changed in this country. And therefore, you realize that even politicians will always want to scheme and give a political solution all along. And I want to believe going forward that even as Kenyans, we'll be able to differentiate. And therefore, you see, as the president also goes to launch other projects, he receives applauses. However, for what is happening currently for this case is, if you see the projects that are being relaunched, is that there were projects that were launched before, and then because of some, also the same politics, that if you're not in line with my politics or how I want it to be done, we ensure that that project installed, we don't give it funding. You get it? So when it does enough funding, it means it won't commence. Therefore, what does when a new government comes in, what do? They go and find another funding, or try and pursue the communication of funding that had been there before to see if they can renew and make sure the project goes on. And every other day, because there must be a political mileage to pursue, then when there's a new contractor coming in, there's a new funding model coming in, they now go and launch the project and hopefully let the project go through. So, and we've seen most of that happening because there is a regime that was there, and now we are having a new regime within a certain small time, and therefore many projects will end up being relaunched, and even many will happen. Let's give an example today. If Kimware and Aror dams comes in to be a place, we've been told that it happened because of some maybe interest of politics. If today there is an agreement between the fundings that are going to do that project, it means it will be relaunched afresh again. Mm-hmm. Because you'll ask, why do we relaunch? You have to give hope to a resident who is going to benefit from this kind of a project. Why? Because the same project that is being launched or it begins to work, it cannot end to be in its functionable form, maybe within a year or so. It can take 2-3 years working on the project. Okay. So you have to relaunch, have a meeting with the residents and give them hope. Also, what the president is trying to do is to go to Kisumu, tell Kisumu residents that we are now working with Baba, and therefore these are the kind of the projects in line. So in the long run, the meaning of this is, all of us have been to class, and many times we study many things that are caused by political instability of a country. So if you want to plan any kind of development, like you want to do things like L, Mother's L, and the ones you've been discussing, you must ensure first that as you go ahead, there is a political stability.
I'm more concerned about the angle of the conversations. Yes, Raila and Ruto going to Nyanza is a big deal, but there must be some issues even within Nyanza itself that could form the headline, and not just Ruto, Raila and their newfound alliance and camaraderie. If you look at, for example, a paper like the New Vision in Uganda, yes, yesterday President Museveni was focusing on northern Uganda, but the issues that are coming from there are issues about land, and that is the headline. A program they have about 4 acres of land in that program. They're not just talking about Museveni, they're talking about the issues that he's going to address there. How come when it comes to Kenya, there are so many, relaunch or launch, but there are projects being launched that will serve the people of Nyanza? How come those issues are not the ones getting the prominence on our dailies? Probably that's the approach we are talking about, Bwana Kamala.
Yeah, and a very good morning to our viewers. Fred, we find ourselves at the crossroads that amidst a socio-economic revolution, political expedience seeming to take the center stage, as you say. And the proponents of the political expedience are the very, very same persons who should be addressing the socio-economic issues that you are facing. I don't understand why the unconstitutional Prime Cabinet Secretary story is not featuring at the front page, where he was held hostage in Vihiga and teachers demanded that he address them. Those are the contextual issues that we should be discussing, but not the side shows of irrelevant political campaigns that we are seeing the president furthering in Nyanza. So I do agree with you that we have lost, as a country, we seem to have been duped into a very early campaign season for 2027, and we are overlooking.
Yet it's only months we were discussing real issues when the Gen Z protests came here. We were discussing real issues that affect this country. Where did we lose it?
Well, you see, I don't want to say the state is under capture, but I want to honestly say that we have people, and I find it very difficult to reconcile the defense on the relaunching and launching of projects. You know, that for me does not hold any water for now. We need to go back and make sure that we do not lose the socio-economic conversation. We cannot leave this conversation to politicians. And there is a hoodwinking, and I think I said this earlier, that we are now being drifted to having a political conversation, and exactly given the headlines today, and yet what we need to be dealing with are the socio-economic issues. Yes. We have the issue of teachers are on strike, kids are at home. You know, just the other day we had the issue of remember the Kware killings, and then all of a sudden people disappeared. And the police did not even publish the photos of the other 12 because they said about 13 people disappeared. So how do you even support the police if you wanted to report? I've seen Fred and Kamau and whoever in company of. But these are the side. This is how politics work. At one point, when the government realizes that they are losing the conversation and they are losing the people, they need to excite the emotions of the country.
But what does it say about the people themselves, Kamau? You're a Gen Z. Your generation brought about some very serious conversations 2 months ago. Now watching politicians take over that, and now we've totally forgotten even the kind of conversations you are talking about. There is a very high possibility that we could see the reintroduction of some very serious aspects of the finance bill. No one is talking about it on the front pages. Now, politicians have managed to make sure their names are what feature on each and every daily in Kenya today.
You see, Fred, it's very saddening to hear Rob say, my friend here say that, or try to justify on what the government is trying to do on relaunching projects. And he said that if the president would have not gone into bed with Raila, he would have not gone to Kisumu to launch those projects, which means that the people, some people from some parts of this country are not entitled to projects because they are not in bed with the government, and where else the government is for the people, and the people are for the whole citizens. You should work for the people of Kenya. Now, the project, the government, when they are trying to bring in the aspect of politics, instead of focusing on the socio-economic aspect, it's saddening. Right now, Fred, kids are at home. No money for school fees. No nothing. Now, I also heard the other day that kids should open up to school with shift, third term. What is shift? Begin with, how are these kids going to be incorporated with this this health insurance fund? And even the teachers themselves, they have not been paid. Where else we are seeing the government roll out a tender of 14 billion to print out new notes, but they cannot provide, I think, 13 billion to employ new JSS teachers, that we don't have any money right now. But they are able to roll out.
Does that say something about the sustainability of the conversations that was started by the younger generation? The fact that you started a conversation, it is no longer featuring anywhere. That's about the people. It's not about the politicians. The politicians are doing their thing, and they have been very successful. But what does it say about you, who wanted the other conversation to be there, but it's not there?
I said here again that we are not prioritized by the government. We don't follow under any category for these people. These are monkeys that, these are like the same monkeys they're just in different forests, but they still come together. They don't prioritize Kenya.
There's something that I'm not getting right, because headlines simply react to what the public wants to read about or to see. This is a public psyche. They simply mirror what people are talking about. It means that people are more interested in Ruto and Raila than the issues that bedevil this country. That is the question I'm asking. Have you, the younger generation, already lost interest in what you're pushing for? That you're more interested in reading about Ruto or Raila? Because if at all the masses are interested in this conversation, then the dailies will simply react to that.
The masses are not interested in this conversation. It's just that they are the things that are happening right now. We, the young people, we, the Gen Zs, the majority people in this country, they are not for what is happening outside with these people. We want the real issues to be addressed. And we try to say that each and every now and then. But this guy just does Hawaski. You get? Now, what are we left to do? Because now we tried to do something. We ended up having people dead. We ended up having a mixed up reaction. So what are we doing right now? Right now, we take a back step and watch out what will happen. But
at least you've admitted that now you've taken a back step.
But we are preparing for this. You know, the enemy of your enemy is your friend. So we join us with our enemies, and now we start now, you know, taking the vote and now planning for that. Whatever he is planning for, we'll plan for that also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's agree then that the conversations are the ones on the dailies and we forget about the others. So let's talk about Raila's AU bid. And Bwana Hans, yes, he may have been launched officially, or his bid was launched officially at State House Nairobi. But if you've listened to so many people, they're now questioning his prospects. And there's a lot of doubt on whether or not Raila Odinga, or there are some doubts on whether or not Raila Odinga can actually be successful in getting that seat, given the fact that there's a very strong candidate from Djibouti as well, who also enjoys some support from the Francophone countries because he can speak a bit of French. That is what Taifa Leo is alluding to. They're talking about risasi ya mwisho for Raila Odinga. The fact that if he misses out on this one, it's probably the last stab he may have at any elective position. Do you believe that he stands a good chance?
Fred, before I come back to AU, let me just mention something a little. We are discussing about the headlines that we have today in our country. And I'm still asking myself, is this what the people really want to hear, or what the media needs to sell? The media having these headlines to make sales, or this what the mwananchi really needs to hear? The issues you've mentioned, we rarely see them being placed as the headlines. Issues mothers' health, the others. We want to encourage the media to really also, we also feel as much as the country is too political, at times the media also gets too political, that their headlines has to be aligned to some politics. You'll see a big headline of Ruto, then a small headline there. We can never see another day having a big health of mother's health, then a Ruto was in Kisumu, sidebar. So as much as we celebrate what the media is doing, we also become skeptical on how they do their stuff, because what is it that you give us as the headlines? What is it that you give the country as the headlines? You get it? It's also what you, and also what you put it on the headline is what will make me as a politician, for instance, to want to do. Because I know if I do this, I'll get to the headline. If I do this, I'll get to a side corner. So somebody might not ever see it. Secondly, is why has the agencies taken aback? We've been here before and we've discussed, and I've had a chance to say that the kind of demonstration we had was not organic. Maybe with time I'll be justified, because this thing is, you see
the conversations resonated with
you. You see people in Kisumu are saying what? If you want to do any demonstration, you go and do the GNC demonstration in Nairobi. Don't do it in Kisumu. Does it mean there are no GNCs in Kisumu? There was some politics inside it, and we've said it before. That's why you see some kind of formation coming in, and it seems to working to solve it. We don't have people who are complaining on social media. We cannot see anything. They have taken aback a little bit. For AU bid, it is a tight race. We must be honest with it. It's a very, very tight race. But let us be patient and see how things goes, because we've seen also whatever we are seeing the analysts having it on the social media, wherever, on the French-speaking countries. And you also see that some of the countries have been expelled from maybe voting and so on. And it also gives me worry as a person that one French-speaking president from East Africa didn't attend Raila's launch. So it's somehow, I feel, it's, I really, as much as we would want to have the cities Kenyans, it's scary that why we we really need to do extra. The president and his team and Raila team need to go extra and see what to do. Whether Raila ni risasi ya mwisho, we've seen it before. It has never been risasi ya mwisho. I think Raila has a way of reservicing himself. And we were here before and I told you.
Yet if he fails to get this AUC seat, it will have a lot of impact on the politics.
He will run in 2027. And that's why I've told you before that Raila is too sharp. He made sure that he remains to be the leader of ODM. That's why he sent out deputy party leaders and chairperson. By the time another deputy leader rises to a levels of being felt like a leader, you've been seeing rallies going around, and Simbarati is trying to say, I'm the deputy party leader of ODM. It's not really catching the crowd. You see, Wanga is trying to be, at some point she says that I'm the chairman of ODM, whereas she's a lady. She needs to say that I'm the chairperson. So by the time these new leaders who are coming in really become strong in the party, Raila will still have a chance to run and be popular.
Because looking at that launch for the AUC bid at State House, Nairobi, it looked like almost like a celebratory acceptance event. Yet there's still a long way to go. The fact that President Ruto is in Nyanza right now, he's setting himself up ready to inherit Raila Odinga's backyard and the voting bloc. But we still don't have it in the bag. Raila Odinga doesn't have it in the bag. If at all he loses come February next year, Kenyan politics will change again.
Well, Fred, and before that, the Gen Z revolution is still on because it was a call for good governance and social justice. So that lives on. Whether people go to the streets, whether it will be through the vote in 2027, whether it will be through various forms of agitation over time, it lives on. Because every Kenyan, even the ones in Nyanza, even those who are mobilized to attend these rallies today, tomorrow, through Sunday, they also want good governance. Their children are at home. Every parent who was in that rally yesterday, their child was at home. You know, I'm sure there were no teachers there because they would not have been allowed to cause a scene. So the call for good governance is still there. And secondly, who is financing all these homecoming rallies? That's another question we need to ask ourselves. Because a few months ago, the president was very huge on austerity measures. Has that conversation died? You know, did he just say it for the sake? And what is so necessary about a homecoming? An appointment to a cabinet secretary means you move into office and start working for Kenyans. Because remember, those who were removed were because of incompetency, inefficiency, and lack of trust, public trust. So if now you start off by holding a rally in your backyard and spending millions of shillings, what message are you communicating? And who is the chief guest? The president himself, who was talking about austerity. So there's a lot of double standard here. And I keep saying the buck stands with the president. It is upon him. Anyway, the revolution lives on. It is not a question of if the Right Honorable Raila loses in February. It is a question of when the Right Honorable Raila we lose in February, what will happen? And I say this because I've been trying to analyze currently as of now, because we still have a few months to go, the countries that are likely to vote and how they are likely to vote. And I don't see even him garnering 10 votes. 10 votes, he will not yield. We are not even sure of the Kenyan vote, but that's another story. The reason I say this is because we have Djibouti, we have Algeria, and now we have Kenya. And I'm looking at the African countries arrangement. In East Africa, we must accept that the international standing of our country as Kenya has been downgraded by the recent behavior of our president. If this was happening in his early months of our appointment into office, you know, we were ranking highly. He was all over the African countries and the world. And, you know, there was a good public image internationally for Kenya. Right now, we are not very well rated. The Sahel region, the southern region, they are likely not going to vote for Kenya. For two reasons. Remember them, they are not pro-Western, which we are. Largely, Kenya has exposed its underbelly. We've gone running into the White House. And almost every other African leader was not very happy with that move. The same African Union had to stop our current president from addressing the world as if he was the African Union chair, you know. So what does that say? Power dynamics are playing out in a way that is not favorable for us as Kenyans. Now, look at the candidates. The Right Honorable Odinga, his age is not a plus. He's been very vocal in the liberation, second liberation of the, let's say, African countries, you know, starting with Kenya. But currently, Kenyans rate him as a betrayer of the current third liberation. Currently, we have a president who is going around saying, I'm going to support the bid for the Right Honorable Odinga. Yet, 2 years back, the same president and his deputy, they said that the Right Honorable Odinga is not good for Kenya, is not fit to lead this country. How can he be fit for Africa? They called him all names, you know, politics of deceit, mganga, mchawi, and everything, every party he gets into collapses. We've seen UDA collapsing already. So what confidence does that exude that 2 years ago you told us your opponent is not fit to lead your own country, but now you want us to trust him with over 50 countries of Africa? That does not add up very well.
Okay.
Finally, I'm looking at the regional alignment. In the northern eastern part of our continent, we have Djibouti, we have Ethiopia, we have Eritrea, we have Ethiopia. I said Ethiopia already. There is no way they are not going to vote for the Djibouti person. If you go down, South Africa is not going to vote for Raila Odinga. They will not. And
why not?
I mean, look at the political indifference we have, you know, and that's why the entire SADC community, we had no one from Namibia, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia, South Africa, Lesotho. No one was here. Thirdly, and this is very sad, I want you to look at the photo of the persons who were backing up the bid for the Right Honorable Odinga. Whom did we have? Salva Kiir, President of Sudan.
Immediate neighbors.
The next person, the Kaguta, Museveni.
Okay.
Look at their age. Look at what they represent. Is that the current democracy we want for Africa?
Hold that thought there. Let's take a break. We come back to continue this conversation. You're watching Morning Cafe. We're taking a look at Raila's AUC bid.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
You're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Welcome back. We're still watching Morning Cafe on TV 47. We continue with our conversations right here in studio. And the conversations during the break never stop as well. We're just looking at Raila Odinga's AUC bid and whether or not he stands a chance. So I'm still in studio with Josephat Kamanya, Hans Rop, and Kamau Mbio. Kamau, you wanted to comment on this. Kamanya has really given a very interesting and a bit pessimistic view of Raila's bid and prospects.
On my view, as a young person, I feel betrayed by Raila. And as a Kenyan and as a good, I really don't feel that he should get that seat. I don't want him to get that seat. That is my personal opinion as a Kenyan, because he betrayed us. And what I'll say, what goes around comes back around. May it come back around to him that he fails and comes back here and goes now to where Bondo is now. That is my personal opinion. Now, you know, now
it has been said before that he would go to Bondo.
The pessimistic, or wherever he goes, maybe in Karen, let him now rest. Now, to add on whatever Kamaya was saying, it's all about numbers. We have like 24 French countries. Now it's French and Arab. You know, these people, they never leave. They even buy from each other, you know. Now, all that combination, it's coming around to 24. Mozambique, Mauritania, Togo, you know, going around the Saharan, he said that is Algeria, Morocco, Chad, Mali, Mauritania, Senegal, Guinea, Bissau there, you know. Now we come to some part of Sudan, that is the Sudan. Then there's Egypt, there's Eritrea, Djibouti, 24 countries. Now we have some, he said 10. I'll give him a 1, 11 total of countries. That is Kenya, I was doing my research here. There's Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, the East African community, the Congo. You know, it will not go beyond 11. Now there's another undecided like 7. The Lesotho, the Namibia, the Botswana, those ones that they are not there, but they will have to look at the dynamics. And where are these dynamics coming in? Will make noise. Whatever made Zakayo to Shuka, that is what will make Raila to go. We will make terrible noise. We cannot, our noise, we cannot be having conversations that are uplifting this country, but someone is somewhere orchestrating his
do we really
interest.
think that our conversations locally will determine his vote? He already has a Kenyan
They
vote.
did. No, let me tell you, they did with our Gen Zs, and that conversation, it really spiked up the whole continent to the whole world. Yes. The same way, we will make some good noise to all these presidents and make sure that this guy does not go anywhere. Because, I mean, Raila, he was not fair at all. Being a Pan-African, someone who has been, is a Pan-Africanist.
The youth in Nyanza feel different. If you saw what they were saying yesterday, they are very much for him. So probably in Kenya, we may not say it is a one-sided conversation. Some support his bid, some do not.
But the majority, we are going with numbers here. That is why I'm saying the numbers.
Just respond to my friend here. You know, at times I always say, let's have a honest discussion. Let us not sit on this other end and see a mistake of the other person. The Bible even says that before you work on someone's eye, check the local news. When this friend of mine is discussing about betrayal in Raila, these Gen Zs voted for Ruto. So how has Raila betrayed you? Raila has gone to sort himself. So how do you even say Raila betrayed you?
He also admits that the Gen Zs have taken a back step.
Yeah, so you cannot say today, you cannot believe in Ruto today, fought for Ruto. Then you want to say Raila is a Pan-Africanist. Why didn't you notice him during the voting time? Number two, when I had...
I personally voted for him and I watched for him now to begin.
We cannot
I really campaign for Raila.
We cannot
for information.
The voting time.
I really used my energy, my resources. My name was tarnished from our community. I really believed in the ideologies of that man.
Okay.
All right. And to give another response from Josephat has said we do not know who mobilized this team. we've been here and we discussed who mobilized the GNCs. People assume that, let us not have double speak, that when it comes to GNCs, it was automatic. I've been here and said there is a finance behind GNCs.
No.
Listen, let me, hold on.
I'll give you an opportunity.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So you cannot come to this other end and say those youths who were in a rally in Kisumu were financed. Those who were demonstrating then in the same Kisumu were not financed. Unless we have to think beyond that. And also, all those kind of mobilization. However, I want to wish Raila well. I'm not, my analysis can just stay within the borders of Kenya. That's where I'm just and the others I can just give maybe an extra thinking. But let me just assume, and let's assume there will be, we used to say chicken what happened? I said there could be some magic in the 40. Raila could still...
So he needs a miracle, yeah?
He needs, to me, the way I was served, there must be some extra push for it.
So how come the president and his deputy appear keen on inheriting his backyard? Is it that they see even if he loses at the AU, he still does not have like risasi ya mwisho, hana risasi nyingine ya kufiatua hapa nchini?
Yeah, coming back home, the president and then his deputy has found, they have found a window of opportunity, and that's what they're trying to exploit. For far too long, they did not know how to handle the Right Honorable's political backyard beyond the NADCO report, because they had contained him in the NADCO report. And then the Gen Z revolution came, and then all of a sudden, there was a lot of unsettling and anxiety on how the political alignment was going to go. And we have seen the Right Honorable Odinga backpedaling. One day he's with the Gen Z, he says, yes, we need good governance. The next day he's with the president. And, he's been, the dalliance has come up because he wants to seek the bid for the backing. And that's why you saw that event at the State House. That is all he was angling for. And that's the betrayal that came up. He also saw an opportunity, and he was like, if I can try and pacify the political temperature right now, then they got into a deal. And we all know it was about this bid, that the backing he's receiving now. Gladly, he's not going to get it. Now, the president and the deputy president, they have found a window, as I said, and they're trying to solidify his backyard. And, the Right Honorable Odinga has been set up, because when he fails in February, the president will come out and say, I did my best. I even came to you, and I told you that we are going to support him. But the hoi polloi, the masses of the African Union have spoken, and he has not gotten the bid. There is nothing more I can do. Now, come back, let's work together. This is a hoodwinking. I don't know why the Right Honorable Odinga is not seeing through it. He did not have to forfeit his political backyard just for the bid. If it was a genuine conversation that the president really...
Is it a done deal? Because the papers are now talking about 2027 and the possibility
No, these are just the political headlines that are making waves right now. But again, remember, the same people, much as we may want to downplay the effect of the economic dilapidation by this administration on the people, people are very angry. People are imploding. People are just saying that it does not matter whether you take my person from my community and make them a CS, whether you come and you have this homecoming event, whether you come and say you're going to build a road, that does not matter so long as the cost of living is still very high. So long as the hospitals are still dysfunctional, Now, the other thing we must agree, and I was very happy, because I saw the current self-proclaimed leader of opposition, none other than Junet Mohammed, say that he's going to donate 2 more mulimas to the deputy president. He did not just throw shade, he threw the whole tree on the deputy president. And he's trying to say that we have now, we have brought down your Mulima movement, which was erroneously not the right thing to say in such a platform. But I think the deputy president has gotten the message that moving on, if he has not managed to position himself as a national leader and not just as a community king's person, there is no room for him in the national politics. Secondly, you've heard the president say him and the Right Honorable Odinga, they were in ODM, they worked together, he's a good person, you know. You had to believe that 2 years ago, these are the same people. So he sees no issue with them working together and helping each other. But I dare ask Kenyans, and I would want every Kenyan to reflect on this. What has been the developmental agenda for the Right Honorable Raila Odinga over the years? None. None.
But he hasn't had the opportunity to implement anything.
But he has not campaigned with one. You see? And so that's why you realize every time he gets into government, we start with the Nusum Keka, the Nusum Kate of the late President Kibaki. What happened? Was there economic vibrance? None. He came then into Uhuru's government. What happened? Was there economic vibrance? Zero. Now, this administration stood by that they cannot let him into government, because the moment he does get into government, everything stalls. Everything's come into a standstill. But what have they done? Not only have they let him into government, but they have also assigned main ministries to his legion of politicians. Okay. Therefore, I beg to ask Kenyans, for how long are we going to be hoodwinked? For how long are we going to let this political game play out? The Right Honorable Odinga is going to the AU. He's not going to make it. The deputy and the deputy president, they're falling out. You see everything now they're doing today, they're just trying to pacify the masses. You saw the town hall meeting the president had last night in Kisumu. Where was the deputy president? Where was the deputy president? You know, at what point? At one point, they're together. Just he's been left to mobilize, and they're just portraying him like a clown, the deputy president. But beyond that, there is no agenda he comes out and speaks to. He's not talking about the teachers who are on strike. He's not talking about the plight of kids, the education insurance for the young kids. You know, and the kids are going back to school, but where are they? When they say they need to come back under administration of chief, how is that working out? So we must allow ourselves to walk away from this political narrative and focus on real contextual issues.
Yet the politicians have managed to take this away from you. Now they're talking about the possibility of an alliance come 2027. We're just focusing on the headlines. Correct. We do not create anything for ourselves. They're talking about the possibility of Ruto seizing Raila's power base, a Ruto-Raila deal to redefine 2027 race. Will Ruto-Raila pact yield new super alliance? We've just seen how a Ruto-Raila deal changed the conversation in the last 2 months. Completely. From a very heightened, very focused line of thinking by the younger generation. When you see such a headline about 2027, because you're saying, okay, fine, the Gen Z will re-emerge in 2027. This alliance, will you be able to fight it?
Yes, and we'll be able to fight it in this manner. This is my opinion.
Or rather counter it.
Yes, or rather counter it. This is my opinion. I said the enemy of your enemy is your friend. Who is the enemy of our enemy? And for us to change the narrative right now, and I would like to urge all my young leaders, and maybe rather gone mbele kidogo leaders, let us try and get these positions as much as possible in 2027 to change the narrative from inside. And how are we going to go inside through what narrative? This is my opinion. And this is according to me and what maybe I'll do. Personally, I'll join up with Kalonzo.
You don't think that probably a Gen Z candidate would work?
No.
Still go with the older generation?
You see, moving forward, the enemy of your enemy is your friend. For now, for what we have right now, what did Raila do?
3 years away.
Yes. We still don't have what it takes right now. Listen, as a country,
that's a very strange admission.
No, it's true. We don't have. This guy, it's no joke. Whichever alliance he has joined, no joke. As on a honest level, this alliance, if it comes true, it's a very, 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 it's a forceful forceful alliance. Difficult. Now, now you know why is he running there? Is because he has lost base here in Murima. You get? He has really, really lost base. So now what we should do as a people, for me, I'll go, this now responding to you, which other can? Kalonzo would do a very good pact. If him himself packages himself well, comes up. Remember, Kalonzo has been a former minister, has been a vice president. He's a loyalist. I don't know if we have, he's a good of a Gen Z. He is sellable to the Gen Zs because he's loyal. This guy was even, if you never knew, he was given, he had been given this job for AG. He refused, but he stood for the people. He has been loyal to Raila for 3 times. 3. You get? So for me, if Kalonzo packages himself well, he is a good...
And you believe that's the best deal for the younger generation?
And I believe those are the only 2 people. Come and you'll call me. Come then. Those are the only 2 people who will be the main.
Do you find that a bit...
Let me tell you, Fred. Gen Zs are still far away from politics of...
Thank you.
Far away.
Thank you.
If not even 2027. Because, you know, Kalonzo was a minister in 1980. How do you choose Kalonzo to be...
So if this alliance comes to fruition, that's it. It's a done deal.
We've had Kalonzo telling Raila, let's talk. So we don't know anything can happen. So if Kalonzo today chipped in, what happens to the GNCs who are saying they're going to Kalonzo?
Yes,
let me tell you one thing.
Chipped in.
There's something I want to say. Is the passion for GNCs truth for growth or for hate? Are you fighting the president because you hate him or you want to have a conversation and better Kenya? There's something I've been asking myself. We still have 3 years to go. We need Ruto for the next 3 years. Before you discuss 2027, even I always say, tell many people, even you're a member of parliament, even if you're disappointed with him, you're a governor and whatever, the kind of a leader, you need that person for the few years because he is in a position of controlling resources that can change a country and probably your life. We need Ruto to change Kenya for these few years. What we need to do, instead of developing hate and want to fight and that you can go, is to hold this gentleman accountable to deliver to Kenyans. Not to fight like you are hating. It's like you have a fight between 2 people in a family, and there's always one who wants to blame the other. It's not raising issues to make a partner better. He or she is raising issues to paint the other person to be bad. You know, these people are Kenyans. They're human beings like us. You get it? All what we need to do, because election will come in 2027, we cannot do anything for the next 3 years. Will we be lamenting in the streets? No. Let us all, anybody in a position of decision making, into accountable. But saying now you'll go to Kalonzo. Kalonzo have been there. Give us a track record for Kalonzo apart from being a soft spoken.
I was responding to what the highlights are saying and what Fred asked. What if this alliance goes to play? What will come to play? I agree with you that we should hold into accountable. But who are you holding to accountable? We tried for 2 months to hold accountable, to hold this guy into account. 2 months, people died. What did he respond with? Bullets, goons. Now, how do you act? How do you reason out with someone who is not reasoning out? You know, if I start, they say if you argue with a fool, you become more foolish. Now, arguing or reasoning out with Ruto is that exercise is futility. He cannot listen. Let me
sound like you have a bit of optimism about this, what you call that agitation by the younger generation. According to his admission, it's died out, and they cannot counter that alliance if at all it comes to fruition.
You know,
Gen Z alone can't.
There is one thing we must agree, that the Gen Z revolution is not about political positions. Currently, it's not about political positions. It's about a good country, good governance, accountability, a better public policy. That is what the revolution is about. And that has not died off. That's what I'm saying. Now, you know, I hear different opinions, and I must allow myself to listen. However much I may not fully be in agreement or aligned to the idea, especially that now that Raila and the president seems to be forming a coalition that the case of 2027 is done. We still have 3 finance bills to contend with. We still have 3 academic years to go. We have over 20-something months before we get into serious campaigns. A lot is going to change. But what this is confirming is that we said UDA as a party is going to collapse. Here we are. We said ODM is going to have serious issues in terms of succession and leadership. Here we are. We did say there is going to be new political outfits and formations. This is the foundation of that. Yes, we do need political parties to get into the political arena. So, granted, the realignment is coming. This is just the beginning of it. There will be a whole exodus of members leaving UDA. There will be a whole, you see even now, the Kenya Kwanza alliance is fully split. NAK Kenya did not move to bed with the Azimio is split. The NAK Kenya is out of it. The Wiper is one leg out, one leg in. Jubilee is fully out, and many other parties.
I think even Wiper is out.
Yes.
Kalonzo said
DAP Kenya, the Wamalwa party.
Yeah.
So there is a Tawe movement, There is a lot of differentiating that is happening in the political parties quietly. But it's going to manifest in a couple of months when now people get serious about where they stand. And I don't want to worry about 2027 yet, because I believe we must focus on uplifting and really trying to have an economic recovery strategy for this country for the time that the president will be in office, whether it is for the next few months or 1 year or at most the next 3 years.
Okay.
We have to focus on that and allow ourselves to not get wowed into the early campaigns of who is going to be the next president. We have very serious candidates who are going to come up. One, and I love the confidence of the Kubaso, Morara. When he was asked whether he would vie, he said yes. My reservations with the senior counsel, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, is that he's always looking for blessing. He's always looking for backup. He's always saying, my brother Raila, my brother. No, he needs to stand firm for once and say, I am going to vie for presidency, or I am going to look for somebody to back. If he chooses to play second fiddle, like he has always done, he is not in the race. We have a very good, strong third person who seems to understand the economic question that we are trying to juggle with, that we are seeking answers to. And this is none other than Jimmy Wanjigi. And
he also hasn't offered himself for president.
He said he's coming out. He said he's out already. He says he wants to change this country. He says he stands with the people. So these are people that we already have confirmed. There was Jeff Kulu? I'll tell you his name. He's an economist, and he vied in 2017 for presidency. And I've seen him start to come out and say he wants to now join the conversation. And these are serious persons that we need to now engaging and have a conversation and assess them moving forward. Because if Jimmy Wanjigi can answer the economic question, that is the answer we are looking for. If he now can merge forces, whether with Kalonzo, with Morara, with Rob, with Kamau, with yourself, that is a conversation we need to have. This issue of we need people from a certain political party or even region so that we can feel we are well represented in government. We are not looking for representation. If anything, the country is overrepresented. We are looking for development and an economic strategy that will enhance our public policy.
Okay, now that we are there, we may say 2027 is a bit far, but this alliance could do other things in the interim. One of them, and that people have talked about especially this week, has been the possibility of amending the Constitution. This week we marked the 14th year since the Constitution was promulgated in 2010. There's a lot that this conversation carries. The younger generation now coming into a better understanding of what is in the Constitution. But this new alliance already have crafted the NATCO report, already visualizing how they could change the leadership at the top. That agitation for amendment of the Constitution could just as well be hijacked by the same alliance for political expediency. Don't you see that going forward, that the political class, the same way they took the conversation from you, could take away the conversation about amending the Constitution?
It's a big risk, and I'll tell Kamaya and Rob here. I'm a young guy. who have studied the dynamics of the politics of this country by extension for a very long time. And in politics of this country, for you to change them, you have to change them from inside. Look at what Kibaki did. He tried and changed the politics of this country when he was inside. You get? Now, to change the dynamics of the politics of this country right now is when we infiltrate these people. And these people are seriously dangerous. They'll start the conversation of Katiba, changing the constitution, because they have the resources. They are in parliament. They are the majority in parliament. They have the president. Now, he has given them he has given ODM 4 new ministers. Let's say ODM is in government. ODM itself has the majority of members of parliament in the opposition. And all these people, Baba says jump. The majority of them, they ask how high. Apart from a few, and you have seen Babu is out, a few of them. Now, if that is proposed, UDA will pass the motion, ODM will pass it. And then we'll see something, a referendum may happen, or some changes in that parliament will happen, even without the people knowing. So for us to look into what may happen between now and 2020, it's a very crucial time, by the way. Very crucial. Look at what Ruto did in 2018. From 2017, an election, then this guy came back to the people, 2018. He then stayed with the people from 2018 to 2022, with the majority of these people. Don't joke with numbers in parliament. Don't joke. That is what brought hell in Uhuru's government, the numbers that Ruto had. Now these Ruto still have the numbers. So it's very, very, very possible. Very possible. We have much possibility of having constitutional changes.
Yes, but constitutional amendments could be necessary to some extent, but the political class has already made it clear that what they need in those changes is purely political. Creation of new offices, things that maybe not necessarily what Kenyans need, but they will lead the conversation, Hans. Don't you think that the same way we're missing out on the headlines, we'll miss out on an opportunity to have a proper conversation about what really needs to be changed, if at all?
You know, we forget many times that politics is all about self-interest. So I amend the constitution based on my interest in it. Once you finish self-interest, it goes to that of your family. What is it that you want for your family? After family, it goes to community. What is it that you want for your community? That's why you find Rigiji is all over with Molima. You get it? That's why he said that I was just there to fight to ensure our cabinet positions are retained. So that is how politics are, and there is a different face. I've been in politics before. I've given a try even to fight. Then I was 26 years of age. And I remember writing a serious manifesto, printing it out and distributing to people, and speaking my heart out on how we can change our politics. As I ran for member of parliament. But people would say, if we would fought mouth speaking, this guy is fit, but he just doesn't have some cash. And remember, trust me, somebody who won over us, among other aspirants, is somebody who had a slogan called Chembeine, just because he has a tractor which has 4 plates. So how do you see how people resonate? What is it that I learned? I came to learn that most of how politicians behave, and I want you to do a research, if possible, do even a media research. How politicians behave today is run by the character of a voter. Because if a voter today takes a stand and say, we are not taking any cash, nobody will use money. If today we have a system whereby we'll say, let all aspirants who want to fight come to a media house like we are in this panel, or in every center, there's a day you come, you give your manifesto and go. We'll make a decision on how we'll vote, or somebody will make an individual decision. How does somebody win in Kenya for any seat? In how you you've branded your cars. How many Prados do you have? What kind of oratorical skills do you have? How much money are you able to dish out? And then we have serious brokers who control our politics. How are you able to maintain the brokers? And the brokers, you maintain them, you maintain their wives, you maintain their children, you take their children to school, and so on. So it affects on how we do politics. So somebody goes to parliament, and instead of delivering in parliament, you go and find on how you can do corruption, make good money, then go back and buy the Ford back. So the problem, and there is an opaque object here between a voter and a politician. So many times we think it is the politician, but I want us to do an extra knowledge about it. How much you'll want to blame this politician? Because even if we send all these politicians home today, a new crop comes in, okay? There'll always be a passion that is different from the village to make sure that they get money from a politician. The same way I was saying here before, that if we have any child who is in need, people will go to a politician's home. Even if there is somebody who is able here, a good business person, with good investment, and there is a politician who just get elected, maybe with a small house, people will line in the politician's home. So what does it mean? It means the politician is the one with a problem or the one who is going to line at the politician's door. So it is going to affect on how we are going to do a constitution, because politicians have realized if we choose to take stand and I say today, I'm going to find my constituency, I will not dish any single coin. I'm talking on a basis of ideas that I will do to that constituency. I'll not be voted in. So this person will always want to change the constitution to suit them. Okay. And I've always said this statement for us, and this is my personal opinion, and one day it will be held accountable. There have been a discussion that Raila has never wanted to be a president in Kenya. And somehow I say yes, because at times in this country, as much as you really want to deliver, it is difficult to deliver. So you'll rather play from a level of Raila, that every time you sneak to government through a back door. And when it is towards the election, you have to have, because there are a lot of political instabilities. That every time you want to come up with an idea, it goes to court. It alters what you want to do to the country.
As, talking about possible amendments to the Constitution, we've talked about even possible return of the Pentagon. Some of these positions that politicians are keen to create is what they say could unify, like this discussion about broad-based, having a prime cabinet secretary, a official leader of opposition, all this prime minister's position, all that could solidify the alliance and could make this alliance stronger come 2027. That in itself means that the president stands a chance, now that he has the support of ODM, to drive Kenyans into a conversation and into the psychological conversation of amending the constitution as a leader and not really talking about anything else, because there's always a temptation to blame all the ails that the country is facing on the constitution. We had the BBI towards 2022, and all leaders have that tendency. Blame the constitution, let's change this constitution, it will make our lives better. Do you think that that could be used to play against Kenyans?
It could be used, but will it succeed? I think not. The greatest undoing this political realignment could do to the country is a continuous compromise of the National Assembly. Because remember, that's our legislative arm as a country. And as incompetent as it remains, this coalition could make it worse, because then there will be no voice of a dissenting voice in the National Assembly, and thereby they could get away with a lot of things in a few months or in a very short span of time. However, we the people, remember, we still have we the people, and I want to still believe that the Kenyans have not given up on their country. If anything goes wrong, either through the National Assembly or through this coalition, Kenyans need to stand up for what is right for us as countries. I mean, as Kenyans, as citizens.
The same Kenyans who are uploading the same, whatever is happening right now?
I mean, yes, because we must be very pragmatic and agree. All these events, political events you're seeing happening, there's a lot of hefty mobilization behind it. It does not everybody who comes to the market comes to buy. Some comes to see the monkey. You know, so some come to see the owner of the monkey. Some come to just know the price of the monkey and all those, you know. But once people retreat to their homes, you've heard, I don't know if you've seen some clips going around. People are in these rallies and they're saying, amekuja kutudanganya. The president is here to lie to us. You know, listen to him. You know, you saw during the demonstrations, people would say, tuko na wewe, finish and go. Today is Sunday, but on Tuesday we'll be out on the street. So people will come to the rallies. Even if you call for a rally, people will come. That does not translate to vote. You know, that does not translate to confidence. That does not translate to people believing in anything you're saying. Case in point, we had a very huge, we used to draw a lot of crowds during the campaign. But did that translate to votes? No. So people showing up like this is not really a matter of trust. Remember, there is a huge trust deficit between the people and the current administration led by the president. And I would want to confirm to Hans, there is nothing personal against the president. People don't hate him as a person. It is what he's standing for, the administration, the trust, the hope that people bestowed on him and the instruments of power. He's either underutilized them, misused them, or just not capable of leading the country in the right direction. And if anybody cares for this country like we do, we have honest Kenyans who love this country. We have honest Kenyans who want to see the transformation in this country. We have to critique, and even him is open to criticism. And he says, if something is not right, tell me. This is what people are doing. This is what the movement is about. This is what the revolution is about. Now, you raise a very valid concern about this alliance. What damage can it do to the country? So long as the legislative arm of the country, which is the National Assembly, is not compromised, we still have a chance of good leadership. But again, on the flip side of that is that to what extent can they go to salvage themselves politically? That is the concern I have. And the good thing is that the holder of the last vote is a Kenyan. And that's why I'm saying, let's not discuss about 2027 now. Let's focus on the real contextual issues that we want addressed. If it means going to court, people need to go to court. If it needs going to the street, it is our right to picket. You know, it's a form of communication to the administration that we are not comfortable with the kind of leadership we are expressing. If people need to boycott services, people will boycott services. So there is a lot of willingness and desire that is called upon from more Kenyans to stand up for what is right.
Okay.
I'm also hoping to see now the autonomy of the leaders we have, because I like the stand of one senior counsel, Orengo. He has distanced himself from this alliance. Which is also another fragmentation from the ODM party, because he's been a pillar of the ODM.
He came back.
And yeah, but you see, the thing is, the moment you don't have a unison, you don't have a uniformed voice from the word go, it means you've had to make inroads. It means people are not really buying into the idea. Also, time is catching up. We have to be gracious to the good Lord. These guys are aging. And the campaigns and the kind of politicking that my friend Hans is talking about is what we are rising up against. We're no longer going to tolerate the politics of deceit. We are no longer going to tolerate the politics of buying votes. The next election will not be about how well branded and how much money you're dishing out. It will be a question of character. It will be a contest of character. Who are you? What do you stand for? And what are you offering in terms of ideology for the people, all the way down to the top seat of the president.
All right, and yes, this week we're marking 14 years since the promulgation of the Constitution in 2010, and conversations around the possibility of making amendments which have so far proven ineffective and almost impossible could be reignited. I want us to move to one last conversation, and it has to do with corruption. This week we saw for the very first time a conviction of a former governor on matters corruption. But if you look at the headlines today on the Daily Nation, that's there on the front page, a small headline down there says, Lenol Kulal gets slap on the wrist. It's also there on the front page of the People Daily. I think they also call it a slap on the wrist. On the Standard, they say power to prison. Court sentences former Samburu governor to 8 years in prison or pay a fine of 85 million shillings. He's also been disqualified from public office for the next 10 years. Now, on one hand, it is a very positive thing that, yes, we've gotten the very first conviction. No other governor or former governor has been prosecuted successfully to the end and for the court to actually give a conviction. This has happened, but many people feel not yet. The fraud was about 83 million shillings, so he's just been ordered to pay that, plus a fine of 1 million shillings. And many people are feeling now, this was a bit too soft, too lenient by the court. Yes. Do you think, because it was meant to serve, to counter any other governor or deputy or county official or public official for that matter, who may be tempted to engage in corruption. Do you think it has served that purpose?
No, it has not served that purpose because I think we have an institution that is so corrupt itself that it does not deal with corruption. It's corrupt itself. ESCC. And I wonder why, what is 85 million to someone who has been in office for all that time, of which he has been stealing? So what are you telling us? You get, these guys should not be given a fine. These people should be, if found guilty, imprison them without the appeal, without the condition of this guy go straight to prison. We saw, and this is what will ail this country. We saw a cabinet secretary for corporation, Oparanya, had a graft case, but right now he's a minister. And that case ended. How convenient that case ended only when he was appointed or nominated to be a CS. How convenient.
Interestingly, even this case against the former governor, there was an attempt by the ODPP to withdraw the case even before the conviction. Yet the court still found enough evidence to convict.
How convenient. You know, now we don't have to have that conversation of corruption if, first of all, that EACC institution, if all of it is not thrown away and another people brought on board. And the president himself, to stop, you heard Morara the other day say that the president should stop being corrupt himself. You get? Because all these projects that are being relaunched is a matter of corruption. Whatever conversations we are having today is because of corruption. The state of dilapidated socio-economy in this country is all because of corruption. We had the other day, I had the Secretary General of Jubilee say that there is a road that was launched when the president was in Kisii for the homecoming. This homecoming thing also is also another place that should be delved into. He was in Kisii to launch a few projects here and there. He launched a project that was launched in February 2018 by the president, the Cancer Center. And the money was given. So where is that money? Why are you launching a project first? You know, if it is to go back to the former regime, go back for them, ask them where is the money. Now, today I had the SG say that he even has documents, and to go into details, I even looked, and even myself, I have some of those documents, that he launched a project that has no contract. Okay. The contractor is on site, has no contract. He is the highest bidder. PPRA has written a letter to court and to Kera and told them this contractor is not supposed to be on site. But because he is the highest bidder, and he has given to the tunes of 1 billion to these people, he is on site. The
question is, human beings will definitely try to be cheeky here and there. That's why we have institutions. That's why we have from time to time seen former governors and even sitting governors arrested and taken through the process by the EACC, ODPP, and eventually arraigned. That is what we saw with Moses Leonard Kulal. This should have served as a deterrent, the fact that he actually got convicted. But the fact that he could get away with a simple fine means that anyone with money will get away going forward. Will this action serve as a deterrent to any future corrupt person?
I don't support corruption at all. You know, Fred, when we were here, I told you judiciary is corrupt. There's a time we discussed that. And I told you judiciary can be used to give court orders against the implementation of government projects. And we were discussing why the government at times can go against the court orders. And I told you, at times even people in opposition can fund the judiciary to make sure that certain projects that can show development in a country don't go through. Why? Because of political interest in the coming election. But then, we would really want to say, I know by the time a judgment is given, they use the constitution. So you cannot give on a mindset that this person did this. Like at times we've been seeing cases whereby a man could be raping a young baby, and then somebody say this person deserves to be killed. You know, we cannot give can't make rules on our own thinking. We use the constitution.
So is it a weakness in the constitution?
It is one. I will say this number. I wouldn't call it a weakness in the constitution. If you check, we've been here before and we've discussed about it. If today they say that Hans, for example, was involved in a corruption of 85 million shillings, maybe of building a certain administration, and it doesn't mean that the whole 85 million shillings got lost. It could mean either I was given the same tender for 85 million because I am akin to the person in the authority. Therefore, I could have made a profit of like 20, 15 million, but the administration is there. You get it? So if you find me 85 million shillings, when I'm convicted, it is a lot of money. You get it? Eh? So whatever this person is being accused of around 85 million shillings doesn't mean that he took all 85 million from the county treasury.
Wait.
Just hold on. He didn't took a whole 85 million from the county treasury and went it home. He did a business of 85 million shillings, which a profit could be 15 million, 20 million. Okay? That's why.
So you feel the punishment was enough?
The punishment actually is okay. The punishment is okay.
No.
But my thinking is,
you disagree with the ones who are saying it is a simple slap on the wrist?
It is not a simple slap. Well, let me tell you one thing. You know, at times politicians also have a lot of imagery. Haven't you seen situations whereby people got into positions, when they are voted out, they get so broke? You know, we see these big cars people driving. All of them are full of loans and so on. It doesn't mean today if I'm controlling 10 billion shillings, it means I'm 10 billion rich. We have a case, it's in public domain, of former media house personnel who used to work with Mudavadi. We've seen him flossing with VAs and so on. Just a month, he's so broke. When an institution can sustain your movement, doesn't guarantee whatever you have in the account. And then lastly, as we even charge whatever the government is doing, are we doing it to keep the government accountable, or we are doing to gain popularity?
Okay. More concerned about our approach in the fight against corruption. We hoped that this would serve as a deterrent, but what is your take on this, Bwana Kamani?
Well, I think the essence of a penal code is to deter any violation of the law. This is a step in the right direction, because for so long we've been crying out for a conviction. You know, people are arrested, cases are dropped, are politically instigated or otherwise, but there has been no conviction, especially of the political class. So for me, this is a step in the right direction. However, I would want to say, is it that he's been used as an example? Because remember, he's now political muscle. He's not very effective. So no one needs him politically. Thus, it's easier to convict him than other persons who still have active cases. I have faith in our judicial system. And what I yearn for is full judicial independence, because that will now enable an institutionalization and of all other organs of government, so that we can have harmonious collaboration for better service delivery. Somebody is guilty, they subject him to the due process, and then we let the process take its course. The fines and the penalties and the sentencing are also limited, depending on the nature of the crime committed. You know, we have the whole financial act, you know, Financial Crimes Act. So I'm sure the judge or the court, in their own wisdom, found it fit to offer this sentence. The other concern, however, I have is regarding some characters who are still in government. Like we have an active member of parliament from Gatundu who allegedly shot and killed a person in Thika, you know, but they're still in office I think the case is still ongoing. How that plays out, we are yet to see, because there was even loss of life, you know. Sometimes we focus on corruption mainly because we hear of money, you know, real funds being mentioned. But corruption is a violation of the work ethics in the office that you've been accorded. Therefore, we must broaden the definition of corruption and the approach.
Do you think that our laws provide for proper punishment?
Is 83 enough punishment?
Those convicted of corruption?
Yeah, I'm persuaded that our laws are sufficient.
Because in comparison to other places like the Far East, they mete out much harsher punishment, including death.
It is true. It's true.
Just to serve as a deterrent.
Even a minor crime as possession of illegal substances warrants you to be sentenced to death, you know. Why? Because, you know, you cannot legislate behavior. What you do, you inculcate virtues and values in your culture. What is the approach that we have as a country on how we practice our social relation, you know, because social relation is what dictates the kind of leaders we also ascend into office. And that's why you hear people saying, oh, I'm going to campaign, so I need money. Because I know if I dish out money, these people will vote for me. But the true intent of you giving out money is not because you want people to buy into the ideas, because you want the votes. So what we have, there is a corrosion, is a moral corrosion in a country that we need to correct.
Okay.
You know, the erosion of virtues and morality is what is ailing this country. We saw largely that the campaigns were conducted on the pulpit in the churches, which is supposed to be the moral authority of the nation. And yet, they did not call out then, because they were beneficiaries of the donations that were happening there during those gatherings. Therefore, what we must work on is not just the legislative arm or the penal code. It is more of inculcating values and virtues socially, so that as people grow up, right now we have the Gen Z revolution because people have experienced a lot of civic education on the Constitution. We must now go a notch higher and see what is good social relation, what is good leadership, just locally before.
And I have 3 minutes, so I'll give you about 60 seconds each.
I'll quickly differ with Hans. This governor was the former governor of Samburu, one of the most downsized counties in Kenya. They are very poor. This guy should have acted as, you know, as a good example. Give this guy good ears, you know, and give him good penalties that these other people will, you know. But now this guy...
You might argue it's just within the as I said, the penal code. This is what is provided for in the law. So the question is,
we should go back. No, if I've told you amending the law, yes. If no, these are the things that should be amended in the Constitution. These are the things that under the law, the judiciary, the LSK should work on. You get, we cannot be having. I'm seeing here that EACC is saying that these governors, former governors, have stolen money amounting to 100 billion. And now one person is just getting 83 million. That is, you get, yes. But I think we need to come into a conclusion as a country that when we are looking, this is the thing that is ailing this country, and it should be looked in seriously. Serious. This is what happened in China. Now look at how China is. Singapore, we were given independence with Singapore at the same time. Look how they are. Now look at us. Yes.
Hans, final comment.
Thumbs up to judiciary. At least we can see something. So we wish them the best as they continue protecting Kenyans from such kind of human beings. Again, we need to tell Kenyans the truth. You know, we cannot judge somebody based on our thinking, as I've said before. At times, there's a conviction that somebody can do, and when you admit there's a standard punishment. Maybe you can accept and you're just fined 10 million. There's nothing you can do. It is in the Constitution. So we have to follow the Constitution. We can never run the country as we want. So maybe the fine of this is 1 million. Maybe there's just a cap whereby you just return the same money.
Do you think that is enough?
I feel there's some weakness in the Constitution. So it's not about the judge.
We should have harsher punishment.
We should. For corruption, we need to do. In fact, at some point, I think in We've heard that in China you can be hanged out. Such things can be done for corruption.
Is it
I support that. But then it doesn't mean that this person has stolen a lot, so he has a lot of money. This is no. This guy could even be broke. He could not even be having $1 million in his account.
Don't assume.
And answer number 2. Listen, there's something I want to say.
We are short of time, yeah.
Is this? I want to tell the president to continue listening. There's some progress. I'd say that despite the fact we want to criticize whatever president has done, we should be honest human beings. You know, before you criticize someone, have another hand of appreciating whether that person has done. We are seeing town hall meetings. We want to believe it will heal some kind of change in its leadership and so on. Okay. And lastly, I want to wish all the best to Raila Odinga as he got his AU bid. Okay. It is good also for our country. As much as we may not agree with him politically, all the best to you.
60 seconds.
Yeah, I think, Fred, today as a nation, we are at crossroads. We must decide which direction we want to take. Do we want furtherance on the political conversation, or do we want to embark on the socio-economic needs that we want addressed? It is the high time that we rise up and keep holding this government to account. We have no other country, and the leadership owes us a better public policy. So whatever dalliance they're exhibiting politically, let it not take our focus from what is rightly needed immediately. Our teachers need to go back to school. We need better services.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Josephat Kamanya, Kamau Wambio, and Hans Swap, our panelists this morning, as we took a look at the state of the nation and the big headlines. A lot of Ruto and Raila in the headlines this morning. But it is a feel-good Friday right here on Morning Cafe. So after the break, do stand by for some music and some nice interviews in as far as entertainment is concerned. For myself, my name is Freddie Ndimuli. Good morning.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated, and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.